Now, what are the various objectives for the construction of dam? Hydropower, irrigation, water for the domestic consumption, flood control and provision of the water for the draft areas. So these are the various objectives. So this is a basic structure of dam. Upstream side is there. This one is the upstream side. This is the upstream side. This is the downstream side. These are the galleries. We call it as a normally inspection galleries, in which a person can go and inspect the various sensors which are attached. Then this is a sluice way, which is allowed to pass the water through it. When the level in upstream side is lower, then this sluice way is used to transport the water. Then the regular spillway is there, which is at the near about maximum level. Now this spillway is used to transfer the water from upstream side to downstream side. Then maximum level is there, normal water level is there, and above that the HFL is there, that is the high flood level. This is the hill and this is the toe. So the inclined trapezoidal shape will end here at the toe, and a vertical shape will be at the hill. Now the overall height is the structural height of the dam, and on upstream side up to the maximum water level or full reservoir level, there will be the hydraulic height. Hydraulic height means the water height, maximum water height in the upstream side. Now in this diagram you can see that there is a slightly inclination in the upstream side also at the hill, which is beyond the dam axis. This is a vertical dam axis, you can see. There are certain basic definitions which can be asked in your any of the exams, and that basic definitions you should be knowing. So axis of dam, it is the line of upstream edge of the top or crown of the dam. The axis of the dam is plan. In plan is also called the baseline of the dam. So in plan means when you see it from the top, this line will be seen as a baseline from the top view. And the axis of the dam in plan is usually a straight line. Okay. Length of the dam is given, distance from one abutment to another. The structural height of the dam already explained. Then maximum base width. So the maximum horizontal distance between the hill and toe. Then hydraulic height, that is the your height of the water contained in upstream side. So these are the normal basic definitions. Hill, toe, abutment, sides of the valley. These are nothing but the abutments. So toe is nothing but the contact or base at the downstream side. Hill is the base at the upstream side. Then galleries are nothing but the small rooms like the structure left within the dam for checking the operation. Then divergent tunnel is there. Tunnels are constructed for diverting the water before the construction of dam. These are nothing but the divergent tunnel. Then spillway, it is arrangement near the top to release the excess water of the reservoir to downstream side. Sluice way is nothing but opening in the dam near the ground level, which is used to clear the silt accumulation. So sand, silt, gravels are cleared by the sluiceway, and through the spillway the actual water flow is conducted through the dam gates. Now, what are the various forces acting on the gravity dams? We have seen the various classification of dam. So in that classification, we have seen the gravity dams, then embankment dams, then earthen dams, then arch dams. These are the various types of dams that we have seen. So in that type, the basic important type is the gravity dam. Now, what is the gravity dam? In gravity dam, the whole water pressure is resisted by the action of own gravity. Own gravity means the overall weight of the dam. The action created by the weight of the dam helps to resist the water pressure. Exactly different in the arch dams. In arch dams, what happens? The whole pressure of the water get resisted by the arch action. So this is the main difference between these two dams. Now, what are the forces acting on the gravity dam? Gravity dam itself having the huge self weight. So therefore, first thing is the weight of the dam. Second thing is the whatever water pressure, means water is stored in the dam, so that water will exert the horizontal water pressure. Then third one is the uplift pressure. Fourth one is the wave pressure. If waves are there in the water because of the wind, then wave pressure will be there. Then earth and silt pressure will be there. The silt will get accumulated in the upstream side. We can easily understand these things in the diagram also. Then earthquake forces, that is the seismic forces on the 6th number. If earthquake is there, then this force will act. So you have to design the dam as per this, considering the earthquake forces also. Then 7th one is the ice pressure. If ice accumulation is there, if snowfall is there, then you have to consider that ice pressure according to the geographic location. Then 8th one is the wind pressure. That is the force exerted by the flow of the wind near to the dam wall. So, and 9th one is the thermal load. Thermal load means temperature load. Thermal expansion and contraction will take place because of the temperature variation. So all these, near about almost all forces are enlisted here, major forces. So these forces we consider, and after considering this force, we design the dam. So now for every force, there is a different formula. There are various formulas basically. So therefore, one by one, we will see the details of each force. So the first force is nothing but the weight of the dam. Weight of the gravity dam is nothing but a main stabilizing force. It is nothing but a dead load. If your dam is made up of the concrete or masonry or both, then whatever the density of your all material multiplied by that volume, so density multiplied by volume will be your weight, right? Because the formula for weight density is equal to weight divided by volume. So therefore weight will be equal to weight density multiplied by the volume. Now what will be the density? That is the weight density. Weight density, nothing but the unit weight. So we all know that the unit weight of concrete is 24 kilonewton per meter cube. The weight density for the masonry is 23 kilonewton per meter cube. And the weight density for RCC is 25 kilonewton per meter cube. So this is the difference of 1 kilonewton per meter cube in the concrete and RCC. Because in RCC we consider the steel bars, in concrete we do not consider the steel bars. So therefore this difference is there. The steel bars are having the density of 7850 kg per meter cube. Now after that, for convenience, the cross section of dam is divided into simple geometrical shapes such as the rectangle and triangle for the computation of weights. Now you can understand this easily in the diagrams, why we split this diagram in the various triangles. So this is the diagram for calculating the self weight of dam. Now here we have split this diagram into the three major portions: W1, W2 and W3. So W1 is triangular in shape, W2 is rectangular in shape, W3 is again triangular in shape. Now how we can calculate the self weight? You can multiply the volume with the density, you will get the weight. This is the simple formula. But what about the pressure? If you want to calculate the pressure, such like that the water pressure, then you multiply the density with the depth. If you multiply the density, that is the your gamma, if you multiply this gamma, that is the gamma W weight density, multiply with the depth, that is the T, then you will get the water pressure. If you want only the weight, then you multiply this gamma W with the volume. So after that you will exactly get, we will get exactly the weight. So there is a difference between this pressure and weight. The unit for that pressure will be kilonewton per meter square, while as the unit for your weight will be kilonewton. So this is the difference. In numerical, if someone asks you to find the water pressure exerted on either upstream side or in either downstream side, then usually the student gets confused. Student use the weight formula, they get the weight, but they will not able to find the water pressure by using this formula. So these two formulas are different. Now exactly the same thing I have explained about this water pressure. So this water pressure will be present in upstream side as well as in the downstream side also. Okay. Why it will be present on both sides? Because on both sides the water will be there. If your upstream side is full of water, then you will release the water in downstream side, and at your downstream side here, some of the water will also be present. Okay. Now, how the water pressure varies? Water pressure varies linearly with the depth of water. As you go down, as you go from top to bottom, the water pressure increases. Why it increases? Because the depth of water increases. As you go below the downside in the sea, the water pressure increases, as you all know, right? As you go below the water pressure on your body also increases. So you cannot swim below certain height in the sea. So this is the reason because there is a huge, tremendous water pressure is there. So the formula for that water pressure is gamma W multiplied by the depth, right? So the unit for gamma W is kilonewton per meter cube, and the unit for depth is your meter. So the meter will get cancelled, and the water pressure you will get kilonewton per meter square. So this unit is given here, kilonewton per meter square. Okay. Now again, this thing is divided into two parts, because as you see this line AD, this is a vertical line AD. Left side to this, you can calculate the water pressure by using this formula. But right side to this line AD, you are having one triangle and one rectangle. So PV1 and PV2, two things are there. And this is a small amount. You can calculate it by using the triangle formula and rectangle formula. Later on, you can calculate it. If someone asks you in the numerical, then only calculate it. If someone doesn't ask you, then you need not to calculate it. Okay. So after that, the water pressure on the upstream side, when the upstream face of the dam is vertical, the water pressure diagram is triangular in shape, as we have seen in previous diagram. With the water pressure intensity of gamma W into H. H means nothing but the height or depth at the base. The total water pressure per unit length is horizontal and is given by pH. pH means horizontal pressure is equal to half gamma W into H square. It acts horizontally at the height of h/3 above the base of the dam. So this formula is important for us as far as the numericals are concerned. Half into gamma W into H square. So this will give you the total water pressure per unit length. So remember this thing, the total water pressure per unit length is given. So if this thing is asked in the examination, then only you use this formula. Then only you can use this formula. Otherwise not. And as far as your exams are considered, exams will be the MCQ based, multiple choice questions. So therefore, this question is also asked that at what height this horizontal water pressure per unit length is calculated. So it will act at the height of h/3 above the base of the dam. So you also remember this thing. Above the height h/3 from the base. Now uplift pressure is there. Uplift pressure also, this is the thing which is acting on your dam wall. So what is that uplift pressure? Water has a tendency to seep through the pores and fissures of the material in the body of the dam and foundation material, and through the joints between the body of dam, its foundation at the base. This seeping water exerts the pressure. So the water seepage will take place. Transportation of water through the small gaps. This will take place, and this will lead to the uplift pressure. The uplift pressure is defined as the upward pressure of water as it flows or seeps through the body of the dam or its foundation. Now, how this uplift pressure acts? Suppose that This is a dam wall.
Vinay,
That this is a dam wall,
photo
and
aap mast.
here water is acting. So the water will go through these cracks from downside also if the seepage is there, and this will cause the uplift pressure. This will cause the uplift pressure in here, dam wall. So this is called as the uplift pressure. So a portion of the weight of the dam will be supported on the upward pressure of water. Hence, net foundation reaction due to the vertical force will reduce because of the self weight. The area over which the uplift pressure acts has been a question of investigation from the early part of this century. On which area it is going to act. This is a topic for the research. One school of thought recommends that a value of 1/3 to 2/3 of the area should be considered as effective over which the uplift pressure acts. So 1/3 to 2/3 area of the dam. Now there are certain other pressures also that are the earth and silt pressure. So the gravity dams are subjected to earth pressure on the downstream and upstream faces where the foundation trench is to be backfilled. Except in the abutment sections, in specific cases, earth pressures have usually a minor effect on the stability of structure. So therefore, this earth pressure may be ignored. It has been given here that this thing you can ignore also. Now the second thing is the silt. Silt is the combination of soil, sand, and gravel. Silt is the combination of all the small materials. Silt is treated as a saturated, cohesionless soil having full uplift and whose value of internal friction is not materially changed on account of submergence. So the code recommends that horizontal silt and water pressure is assumed to be equivalent to that of fluid with a mass of 1360 kg per meter cube. Means the density, mass density of your silt is considered 1.36 times as that of the water. Why it is 1.36 times? It is 1360 kg per meter cube. The value is given that this much value you can consider. Because the water is also present, mud is also present, sand is also present, gravel is also present, and the combined weight of all these things will be 1360 kg per meter cube. Then vertical silt and water pressure is determined as if silt and water together have a density of 1925 kg per meter cube. Now, if you combine the vertical silt as well as the water pressure, because above silt the water is present and below water the silt is present. Now, if you combine these two things, then 1925 kg per meter cube will be there. So again, these two things can be asked in your multiple choice questions. So these small things can be asked in your multiple choice type of examination also, and in any of the competitive examination also, because as a student of engineering you should also prepare for the competitive examinations, and competitive examinations are not that much tough if you study the basic things such like this. If you go through the basic notes, then many of your questions will be from the basic notes itself. So you can also appear for the various competitive examinations. Now again the same diagram is there. Now in this diagram, which new thing is there? Silt is given here below this water. Now the diagram changes. Now why this shape of this triangle got changed? The shape of this triangle got changed on the upstream side because of the presence of this silt. Before this, we were not be considering this silt. Here we are considering the silt. Now the water plus silt, and therefore there is an extra weight, and because of this extra weight, the shape of this triangle got changed. Now how much will be that value? 1965 kg per meter cube, near about that will be the combined value of your water plus silt. Now ice pressure is there. Now in India we have we don't have this much of the snowfall, but in the northern India, in Himalaya region, we are having the this type of snowfalls, and the huge amount of ice is there in the Jammu Kashmir, Uttarakhand states, such states. So constructing the dam at such location, you have to also consider the ice pressure. So ice expands and contracts with the changes in temperature. This is the again one of the thing given, that it expands and contracts with the changes in temperature. If the more temperature you increase, then the ice will melt. In a reservoir completely frozen over, a drop in the air temperature or in the level of the reservoir water may cause the opening up of cracks, which subsequently fill with water and freeze solid. When the next rise in temperature occurs, the ice expands, and if restrained, it exerts pressure on the dam. So what is given here? If you increase the temperature, then ice will expand and ice will cause the pressure on the dam. So therefore, this type of ice pressure need to be calculated, and the value of ice pressure may be provided at the rate of 250 kilopascal. Kilopascal applied to the face of the dam over the anticipated area of contact of ice with the face of dam. Now again, this is a question which can be asked in as a multiple choice question. How much will be the ice pressure considered? 250 kilopascal. Pascal is the unit of pressure, and kilopascal, again, it is a metric unit of the pascal. So remember, whatever the things we have studied in today's lecture, you remember these various things,